Hello and welcome to another macro video. We've got programming today, lots of programming techniques, some old and some new. The point is that I do have some programming resources. They were written originally in 2018 because I just turned 70 and realised that I'm not going to be around forever. The macros won't disappear, but the techniques that are stored away in my brain need documenting, so they're always available. So I did some writing. You can find it in Appendix 13 in my book, and it was updated slightly in 2023, but I don't think I added very much to it, and there's a lot of work I could do to improve it and add more material. Around about the same time I did some videos because I realized that just talking through the program on the screen was a time effective way, for me anyway, of documenting things, so you can see what's on the screen and I can talk about it and so on. That was dated 2018, but that's 6 years ago now, and I have added quite a few new techniques in that time. I've learnt various things. Anyway, you can find those on the website, resources tab. So here we go, resources, and so you've got where are we? Stuff about wildcards and so on, and then the programming stuff. The hints and tips mine is just a load of all sorts of ideas and that might be useful at some stage to anybody, not just programmers. So let's look at the programming bit. So this is a PDF, and we've got here, well, just introduction. Resources, there are books that I've suggested are a possibility, and then the links to the videos that are there, and obviously this video is going to be added to it. Right, okay, so that's that. So we're going to look at 3 macros today, and go through them and explain what's going on. One called copy and paste, a brand new one, either cut and paste or copy and paste, an analysis of italic words, and a macro that allows you to get a count of all the words in a document, including the footnotes, but by heading. In other words, heading 1 and the stuff under heading 1, and heading 2 and that which is under heading 2. We'll have a look at that in a second. Well, no, let's look at it now. Where are we? What do we want? Oh yes, I'll show you the fun demo first. I go look at the cut and paste. So I've got a list here, like a shopping list, and I want to split it up into a series of files. So I've got fruit, veg, and carbs. So click in the list, and we're going to run the copy and paste. So how quickly do you think you could? I've put the colours on just so you can see which is which. How quickly could you put them into the 3, 1, 2, 3 different lists? So start from apples. So ready, steady, go. Apples goes in there, beans in there, cabbage in there, noodles, oranges, pears, peas, potatoes, rice. There you go. Not bad, eh? I really enjoy that. Anyway, enough of this frivolity. It could be a useful technique for speeding things up. Italicalize, let's have a look at that one. Here's the results from that. So you're looking at, I just picked off a couple of biology type articles off the internet and analysed them, and what it's done is where the word occurs in italic but not in Roman, then I've just let it in black. But then if there are a different number of italic, it occurs a different number of italic times, then I've put those in a blue. That's more an obvious one. So that's biological name, which is sometimes in italic and sometimes not. And actually you can see it's two different articles, because et al is sometimes in italic and sometimes not. Okay, so that's that one. And the word count by heading we've got here. Okay, so it looks a bit like a contents list. If there's some text before the first H1 heading 1, then they're counted and put as prelims, and then there's the two in this just short article. It's two H1s, and the 1241 is the sum of the three H2 level counts, and then down at the bottom you've got the total overall count. And again, just to say that it does include the any footnotes that are, or endnotes that are referenced in each of these sections. Okay, so let's have a look at some techniques. So what have we got here? Right. So let's have a look at copy and paste. My fun new macro. Copy and paste and cut and paste are the same macro, but you just have a do cut equals false. So you just change that, and it becomes the other macro. Same code otherwise. Sorry, the delay shouldn't be 50. That's just when you've clicked on one file and then click on another file, the macro waits for 5 seconds, and if it doesn't get any response, it will say, what? Nothing happening, go away. Right, so we're trying to select a paragraph, so if there's nothing selected, select start equals select end, then just pick up that paragraph. But if you've already selected something, so what we could do when we have got two things, we could do that, but it's so quick to go from line to line that you'd only bother selecting across if there were several items that were all together. But you can click across those, and then you can run the macro and then click in here, and oops, it goes in there, look. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so that's a way of selecting, increasing the selection to the beginning of one paragraph and the end of the other paragraph. Right, so that's where it either cuts or copies. Then it remembers the current file where the cursor is set as source file, and then what it does is it gets its name, and it loops around again and again and again, looking at the current active document name, and until you click in another document, then new name will be what it new name will be the same as now name, the existing name, and as soon as you click in another document, new name changes, and then it comes out. But as I say, they've got a delay there so that it comes out of the macro. It beeps and comes out if after 5 seconds nothing's happening, because you don't want to leave it to be stuck in a loop. And do events is important because that makes it easy to escape from the document, and you don't get the macro being stuck in a loop. Yeah, that's it really. You just collapse the end of the where the cursor is in the new file and paste it, just in case the cursor is in the middle of something, so it goes to the end of the line, and you're not going to delete anything that's already selected. Yeah, that's it. I'm waffling. And then it goes back to the source document. Okay, so we're going to do word counts by heading, and so it's based on headings 1 and 2. I suppose we could extend the program to do 3 as well, but until somebody wants it, I'm not going to bother. So what do we do? We create a new document. We record a name for the old document, the existing document. We add a new document and call it copydoc, and then we set up a range for that document, and then we want to copy all the formatted text from the old document to the new document. And that will include, but we need to do that because we need all the H1, H2 and all the footnotes and endnotes. However, when once we've got that in, we don't want all the linked any linked like URLs or any other links in there, so we can unlink them all to avoid the macro falling over them. And also I put in a accept all track changes so that it won't fall over those. Then what do we do? Tables can be a bit of a nuisance. So what I'm doing here is to look at each of the tables and convert it to pure text, because those tables are going to be within a heading, so we just need to know how many words are there. So you go backwards through the tables, so that's going backwards here, step -1, because you have to delete the tables. So you delete the latest one, and then the one before that, and then the one before that, and go working your way back up. So what we're doing in this yellow bit is that we are changing the carriage returns, or the new lines, into a space, and also the tabs into spaces, because they can confuse the word count. So basically we're picking up all the words in the table, creating a spaced only set to simplify it. Then we're going to go to the end, collapse to the end of that table, and then type the new words, well, I mean the words that it's picked up, type the words after the table, then delete the table. Okay, so now the next job is to find out how many words there are in every single paragraph in the whole document. That seemed to be the easiest way to do it. Count them all, set up an array, and then you can go back, you can look through the individual paragraphs, find out which ones are the headings, and then get the numbers. Rather than counting it there and then, go back to the array to count, to add in the count to the overall total as we're going through looking at the paragraphs. So what do we do? We use the statistics to give us a number of words. So this is for every paragraph. It's if the paragraph actually contains some text. In other words, it isn't just a carriage return. It isn't just a blank line. We do all that, and we set the number of footnote words, endnote words at 0, and then look through all the footnotes if there are any, look through all the endnotes if there are any, and use the statistics again. I've just crunched that down in size so it fits on the screen. Count up how many words there are in each of the notes, foot or end. So then the total number of words for that paragraph is the main text of the paragraph plus the footnotes. And if it was just a single blank line, it was just a carriage return, then you set the number as 0. Right, so now we start totaling. So we're going to have a running totals. We're going to have a total for the H1 heading, the H2 heading, the overall total, and what I've called the prelims. In other words, any text that occurs before the first H1 heading. So so we look through to find where the first H1 heading actually is. So we look through the paragraphs until the style of a paragraph is H1, and then we set that's the number of the first H1 paragraph. Now we count the prelims, so we just add them up, but also we've got to add up that number of words into the overall total for the whole document, and we do that for the first few paragraphs before the first H1. Then we start counting from the first H1 onwards, and for each paragraph we add the number into the total, obviously, and then we start looking at the paragraph and look at the style. So If it's an H1 style, then what we have to do is count from that H1 style. If you just look at the thing again, each time you hit an H1 heading, you've got to go on counting right the way through until you hit the next H1 heading. Otherwise, you'll miss the ones in between. It's not the count from the H1 heading to the H2 heading. It's right the way through to the next H1. So that's why you've got to do it that way. So you look at the paragraph. If it's not an H1 heading, then you add to the H1 total. Otherwise, in other words, if it is an H1 heading, then we've got a total to deal with, and we put that as a line in the document here with an H1 in front of it, just so that later we can go back and make those lines bold, those paragraphs bold. So we type that information in, but also we have to check that we've not fallen off the bottom. If you fall off the bottom, you won't find another H1 heading, but you have got to the end of the H1 totaling, and so you have to put in the very final H1 total. And we do something similar for the H2, but so we check if it's an H2 or an H1, and if it's neither H1 nor H2, then we can add in the total. But if it's either an H1 or an H2, then if you look at the thing again, so if we get to either if we start from one of these and either get to an H2, or if we start from that one, the future perspectives, the first one you'll hit is an H1, but you have to stop counting because you've hit another heading. So that's why it's H1 or H2. And when you get there, then you total it up, shove it in the results file. And then again at the very end of the document you've got to add the last H2. That's just about it really. You pop the overall total in as well, the top total, and then go back and change the H1 headings, get rid of those that marker text, and make the line bold. So that's that one. Then we've just got the italicise. So on this one, trying to speed it up, we turn off the screen updating, but that's not a good idea if, well, certainly while you're developing the macro, because if you get an error and drop out, then this screen won't be updated. So you have an on error to a report, and in the report what you do is turn the screen updating back on. You'll see that at the end of the macro. We're actually timing the overall thing. Sorry, I got started a cold today. We're timing it so that records what time is now, and when it's finished it'll tell you how long it took. So we've got the original document, and we've got a range. Range old is the original document, a new document, a range for that, and again, like the previous macro, we put in, we transfer the formatted text across from one to the other. Has to be formatted because we need the italics. Then we unlink any fields. Actually, I probably ought to add accept track changes, oughtn't I? To remember to do that. Right, what are we doing now? Right, so we're going to look at all the paragraphs. That's just, those spaces are just for displaying stuff on the status bar. Right, ignore any lines that are completely in italic. Yes, yeah. If you've got a line, if your headings, some of the headings are in italic, you don't want to pick those. Those are not likely to be wanted. You're not trying to analyze those words in terms of whether they're italic or not. So that ignores those completely italic lines. Then this is just a status bar to show the user that something's happening. Right, so we have to prepare the text. In other words, we have to get rid of that which is not italic, words that are not italic. So we're looking for anything, so that's what the nothing in the find box means, find anything. That is not italic, false italic. So we want to get rid from this copy doc of any Roman words. So you're only leaving behind the italic words, but you don't want them to be all in a bundle. So you replace the any of the Roman text by a new line, a carriage return, a paragraph. Then we look for anything that is not a group of letters. So in other words, there's all sorts of punctuation and new lines and goodness knows what. So any groups of text that fit as being not a word, and again you replace it with anything that is not a word, replace it with a new line. So you just got a vertical list of all the italic words. So that is ready to generate the results. Where are we? So it's this one. So in the answer line, you'll have all these words here, which are waiting to have their counts added to the words. So what do we do next? We go through all of where are we? Yeah, so we're getting, what are we doing here? I can't remember, hang on a sec.